Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Michelle, and thank you for offering to pick this up at the very last minute. Another last minute pickup. Toastmaster Shay, please explain your role as grammarian.
One benefit of Toastmasters is that it helps people improve their grammar and word use. Being grammarian provides an exercise in expanding listening skills. I have several responsibilities: to introduce the word of the day or the word of the week, to comment on language use during the course of the meeting, and provide examples of eloquence. Today's word of the day is curiosity. A strong desire to know or learn something, a strange or unusual object or fact. Filled with curiosity, she peered through the window. He showed them some of the curiosities of the new house. I encourage you to use this word of the day. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. Toastmaster Sonia Garate, can you please explain your role as general timer?
Toastmaster of the day. I am responsible for checking the time for our speakers. I will use timing signals to indicate speech length. Timing begins with the first definite verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience. As timer, whoever is speaking or has control of the meeting, please pay attention to the red color behind me, as this means that you get to wrap up as quickly, professionally, and efficiently as possible. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Toastmaster Susanna, please explain your role as general evaluator.
Toastmaster of the day. If one thinks of a club meeting as a project, then think of general evaluator as a quality control manager. Tonight, I will be commenting on overall flow of the meeting, giving you feedback. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Susanna. Now we move on to the first section of our meeting, formal speeches, which are prepared speeches based on our Pathways program. Tonight we do have 3 speakers. Our first speaker of the night will be Toastmaster Shastri Stewart. Toastmaster Jack Miller, can you please explain the project information for Shastri's speech?
Thank you, Toastmaster. Tonight, Shastri will be talking in the Pathways program of dynamic leadership. He'll be talking about mentoring, be the mentor the world needs now. And I'm sure he'll do a great job because he does a great job as a mentor. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack Miller.
7 minutes.
Before I introduce our speaker, Shastri, timer, can you please demonstrate the timing signals for all sessions today, which are all 5 to 7 minutes?
Certainly, Toastmaster. So at 7 minutes, you will see the green background. At 6 minutes, you'll see the yellow. And sorry, I think I said that backwards. At 5 minutes, you see the green. At 6 minutes, you see the yellow. At 7 minutes, you'll see the red. And in 30 seconds, I will clap off the speaker. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Tonight we have Shastri Stewart. His title of his speech tonight is Be the Mentor the World Needs You to Be. Please welcome the husband called Super Sweetie, the gamer called King Robbie, the basketball player called Speedy, the soccer player called Flash, and the leader called the Motivator. Please put your hands together for extraordinaire, truly extraordinaire, Shastri Stewart.
Can you guys hear me? Everyone can hear me?
We can hear you perfect.
Perfect,
Yep.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and fellow mentors and mentees in training. I still remember the first time I walked into Mr. Glenn Montes' math class. This man looked like a vagabond. His hair in disarray. It seemed like he was in between growing dreadlocks and a bad hair day, with a bald spot right in the middle. He wore a white shirt with 4 pockets, all filled with pens, and his khakis was disheveled. After class, Mr. Glenn approached me and said, "I heard you're from Dominica." I said, "Yes." And then he replied, "Do you play soccer?" I said, "No, I play basketball." He said, "Perfect. We have a soccer game this afternoon, and I want you to come play for the team." I was like, okay. After school, we jumped into Mr. Glenn's red pickup truck to head for the game. I didn't have a uniform, so I had to play with my school uniform and Timberline boots. I scored the only goal for our team to tie the game, and I was beyond the moon. Mr. Glenn had introduced me to a different perspective. Our team was made up of a group of Down Island folks, of boys and girls, with little knowledge of the game. It seemed Mr. Glenn's coaching was even worse than his recruiting skills. Every day he would drop us on the field. He would have us run a few laps and allow us to play among ourselves while he went to do errands. But during the summer break, he signed us to play in the man league. That means playing against grown men. I did not understand the logic at the time, and would get beat almost every game by a lot. Come school season, our first game was against the best team in the league, Antilles. That first game I'll never forget. I remembered I scored the first goal by just bullying the defender because we were bigger, tougher, and faster than they were because we played against men. We ended up winning the high school championship with only allowing 2 goals. I was considered the fastest on the team, maybe the fastest in the entire school. And Mr. Glenn would always tell me, "Ravi Shastri, just run." That is all the coaching he would ever give me. I did not understand what he was trying to tell me until long after I had left high school. After reflecting on it for a while, what he was trying to say was, if you're given a God-given talent, it is your duty to unleash it on the world. Mr. Glenn is far from a micromanager, and that is what makes him the perfect mentor. Mentoring is allowing your mentee or protege to discover their own way. A mentor will provide you with the tools, the equipment, and get you in the game, but it is up to you to fulfill your destiny. Mr. Glenn has impacted the lives of countless young kids through soccer. In his world, everyone is accepted because to him, everyone has talent. And it was his job to help them discover it. I'm a leader at the Wellington Regional Medical Center as the Director of the Environmental Services Department. I am a mentor of over 50 individuals. And that responsibility can be exhausting. Just like Mr. Glenn, I have a group of people who do not have a lot of skill. They are looked down on like Down Island kids. But it is my job to see something in them they have yet to see in themselves. Every day, I'll get them fired up and ready to take on the task of the day. I'll provide them the equipment and tools that they need and ask for their input. There is nothing more engaging to an individual than acknowledging their value. I am a leader at Wellington Toastmasters Club and mentor to a group of motivated individuals. This is a network of rock-solid people that form this mountain called Wellington Toastmasters Club. And the breeze of COVID might ruffle some trees, but when the wind subsides, this mountain will still be standing. Standing because of you. Lastly, I'd like to end with something one of my mentors taught me, and that is to put on your mask first. Vote for yourself and treat yourself like someone you love. Only then can you impact the lives of others in a meaningful way. And that mentor's name is Stacy Kessler. Thank you for teaching me the most important lesson of being a mentor, and that is self-love. I honor you. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shastri. It sounds like you had a fantastic mentor and coach. Certainly, a travesty is wasted talent. You hear that a lot, but a mentor that helps you find and identify those skills and that talent is a true mentor. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shastri. Our second speaker of the day is Toastmaster Micheline. Toastmaster Stacy Kessler, can you please provide the project information for our second speaker?
It is my honor, fellow Toastmasters, Toastmaster of the evening. Micheline will be speaking tonight on her project that is practicing to develop and present a proposal. The overview of this speech is to develop a proposal to improve any area of your life. It may involve your personal or professional life or your Toastmasters club. If your proposal involves your club, speaking with the appropriate officer, whoopsie, okay, hold on. All right, there we go. For example, if you have a proposal to increase club membership, discuss it with the vice president of membership. In 5 to 7 minutes, she's going to present a speech in her proposal of whatever aspects of this job that we're going to hear from Micheline this evening. Please welcome back our fellow Toastmaster, Justin Gwen.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Stacy. Micheline's topic for this evening is Hunger for Growth. Micheline has been a Toastmaster member for over 2 years and has experienced tremendous benefits of being a Toastmaster. Just recently, she became the VP of membership for the club and has joined the role to bring apart a highly recognized program around the world. Please welcome Toastmaster Micheline.
You're still on mute, Micheline.
There we go. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. And I'm trying to get this to share as not the whole slide. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, dignitary, Toastmaster of the day. I'm here to talk to you about our growth of our club, the Wellington Toastmasters Club. And you may not know, but our club is a distinguished club. It's recognized as a distinguished club. And in order for us to maintain that, there are some goals that we need to look at as a club, as a unit. So my symbol that you see on that screen is we're working all together, hand in hand, in order to make our club effective and growth. A Distinguished Club Program. It's an annual program that runs from July 1st to June 30th. And there are 10 goals that the club can obtain. Qualifying requirements is the club must meet in good standing. So all members have to meet the requirements. And we have to at least have 20 members. We do have about 24 members, so we met that requirement. But there are things that we need to do as a club. And I find from weeks to weeks, I find that our club members, the goals of the club is either lacking or not of the goals of the club, but I find that the members are not putting everything into it. You signed up to be a member, and I feel that we need to work harder to make our club much better. So here are some steps, or some guidelines that we need to work together as. First impressions. Like any place you go or anything you do, it goes by first impression. Every guest and prospective member must feel welcome. I see that we are doing it in the chat when people come on board, but we also want to make sure that they feel welcome so they can continue to keep coming back. New member orientation. Mentors work with new members to get them acquainted with the Toastmasters program and how the club can support them in return. Because when we get the new members acquainted and feel comfortable, they will look forward to increasing their growth within the club and personal growth as well. Club diversity, and this is big across the nation. Doesn't matter what organization you're in, club diversity is important. We need to offer a warm, friendly, supportive, and fun environment for learning and development. I know at times we get those questions in topics, in the table topics, and it's fun and enjoying. I look forward to table topics. So I welcome more fun table topics so we can enjoy the meeting. Club meetings offers professional, organized meetings, well-prepared speakers, and useful evaluation. This is critical for our growth, of our own personal growth, as we're looking forward to be better Toastmasters. Membership strength. Each member is expected to provide leadership and fill meeting roles and committee assignments. Today is a good example of the meeting roles not being met. And I feel that our membership is getting less and less. People are not showing up for our meetings. Achievement and recognition. Members' progress towards their goals are monitored and tracked. Completion of awards are submitted promptly and recognize membership achievements consistently. Shay does an awesome job in this area. So I commend you, Shay. Continue to do what you're doing, because members are being recognized when they complete their roles. Next, as a Toastmaster, we see this, and sometimes we forget our responsibility. So we're gonna all do it together. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments. I'm also included in this, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow. That's important. To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy. To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits of Toastmaster membership offers. to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activity. Wellington Toastmasters, are you hunger for growth? Wellington Toastmasters, what do you say? Are you committed? And I will ask Shay right now to launch our poll. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Micheline. It's certainly nice to be reminded of the Toastmaster promise and see those words and help us remember what we've all pledged to do. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Micheline.
Thank you. It'd be nice.
Our next speaker will be Toastmaster Brennan. Toastmaster Tim Morrell, can you please give us the project information, if you have it, for Toastmaster Brennan?
Toastmaster Brendan will need to do that. I do not have the information.
Toastmaster Brennan's project is Connect with Storytelling. I don't have the details of that particular project. However, let me go ahead and introduce him. His topic tonight will be Blessings in Disguise. It's hard to see the picture when you're in a frame. Sometimes when we're in the middle of chaos, we don't understand why these things happen to us. However, it's through the challenges that some of the greatest moments are born. Remember, life is not happening to us, but for us. Please welcome Toastmaster Brennan McCauley.
Toastmaster Justin, I just want to make a point of, I would like to share the project description just so Toastmaster Morrell knows how to do the evaluation and what exactly he's evaluating on. So may I read the description?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, thank you. This project that Brendan is doing tonight addresses storytelling techniques and descriptive skills to help make every speech relatable and interesting. The purpose of his speech is to practice by using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. So he gets to choose an established story, a story about his life, a fictional tale, whatever it is that is creating that story that will fulfill this project description in practicing using a story within a speech. This speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and I am complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy, for helping out with that project information. And now, without further ado, Toastmaster Brennan.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So if I can ask by a show of hands, who has ever heard the phrase that sometimes it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame? Has anyone ever heard that before? Excellent. Well, then you can probably relate to this story I'm about to share with you. Back in my Boca Raton Toastmasters day, I was asked to fulfill a role as a videographer. And I knew, despite my crazy schedule and thought I probably would not be able to fill the role, that I was going to go outside of my comfort zone and I was going to agree that every day for our Toastmasters meeting once a week, I would show up with video camera in hand, ready to shoot, so that way we could record the videos very similar to how we do now. We could put it on YouTube and we could display that for every Toastmaster so they could have the benefit of seeing how they did. So the day had come. It was my job. This was my first official time. And I knew for sure out of anything that I did not want to be late because I wanted to make sure that I was attentive, that I was on time, just like any good Toastmaster would want to do. So I hop in my car. I give myself at least 45 minutes. I figured the drive's about 30 with a 15-minute startup time. By a show of hands, did you ever feel that you had plenty of time, only to realize after that that was not nearly as much time as you probably needed? So as life would have it, I continued on the road, and it should be as simple as this. Drive from my street, go up the highway, make the right down I-95, get off, make another right, and voila, I'm at my destination. That tonight was not in my stars. So what that looked like, that was drive up the ramp. That was only to find that it was blocked off because there was massive construction that was happening. So that left me with the option of either I turn around in the completely opposite direction, which would have taken me at least 45 minutes in addition to what I had already planned to drive, or I could continue straight, take a right, come all the way back down, and then eventually arrive at my destination with roughly about 5 minutes to go. That was my choice. So that's what I did. So I basically went up the ramp, I went down, and I said, hey, this looks like a phenomenal shortcut. So instead of going all the way down to A1A and taking that across the beach, I decided to take my shortcut, only to find that when I actually made my right and went down the shortcut, that road basically converges into a dead end, which was tremendously exciting when I'm fighting for time. And that was awesome. So I get to the dead end, only to meet it, to then make another left, to go down, to make another left, to get stuck behind a 75-year-old gentleman in a golf cart who was going at a Mach 2, 15 miles per hour, heading his way down the beach side, hanging out. So I'm going slow and slower and slower, only to get back to the original road of where I started, which should have been the initial projection up over the hill, down to make the right. So I turned to the right to get back to where I initially started, only to then look upwards and see that the drawbridge was literally about halfway up right to where I needed to be. So if you've ever had any anxiety over time, this is the time when you start looking at your watch saying, this is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen. So let's pause for 2 seconds. This is the inside of the picture frame that you never want to be in, but this is where that character building really just starts to just tug at your heart. So as I'm sitting there just staring at this bridge, like you've got to be, insert whatever expletive that you choose. Basically staring at this. So then finally, the drawbridge slowly at a unbelievably steady pace decides to come back down. I drive over the bridge only to make a right and then take my car, floor it as fast as I can, and zoom down to finally make another right, to hop back off, to finally get down the highway, do a U-E, come back, and with almost Fast and Furious speed, it was like straight out of the movies. It was incredible. You guys should have been there. Wind up into the parking lot, heart beating as fast as I could, grab the camera from the trunk, run inside to the Toastmasters meeting, and as soon as the Toastmasters is about to go on, they say, oh, our camera guy has got here. We are so thankful. Brendan, so glad you made it. And my heart finally relaxed and I was able to just mellow out for like 2 seconds. So I catch my breath like any good Toastmaster would, and I pause and I say, guys, I'm so sorry. I truly apologize. And without going into the whole entire story, I set up this video camera and I put it in the back and I hit play. And I take a seat. And just like we are right now, I listen to the first speech, I listen to the second speech, I listen to the third speech, I take my notes. And I ask myself, when you're in the middle of craziness, when you're in the middle of the picture and you can't really see everything outside the frame, what is the lesson that we want to learn from this? And the funny part is, as you continue to think, and if you're in the middle of craziness right now, there's always some sort of lesson. There's something beautiful that you can learn from whatever kind of crazy story that is. So here was the irony. Table topics gets called, and they call up the first person, and they call up the second person, and they call up the third person, and finally they call me. And do you know what the table topic was? Driving safety. Brendan McCauley, driving safety. I kid you not. Do you know exactly what my story was? I went straight into the past 45 minutes of the entire endeavor that I just had spoken about. And I wound up winning table topics for the night. So I share that story with you because when it's all said and done, even though it looks like you might be in the middle of craziness and you have this curiosity and just this exploration of world that we're going through, when you take time and you go back 2 seconds and you actually just reflect on everything that's happened, things have a really, really funny way of working out, and usually for the better. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Brendan McCauley. I think all of us can certainly relate to that story. I'm sure we all have a story of when you're driving and just one thing after another. When it rains, it pours sometimes when you're on that trip. So I'm sure all of us can relate. Well, thank you very much for your story. I would also ask to remind everybody to please, you can message the speakers and give them some thoughts on areas that they did well on and areas that they can improve upon. Even if you're not an evaluator this evening, you can still do so, and I encourage you to do that. The second section of our meeting will be table topics. This is an opportunity for members to develop their extemporaneous speaking skills. This is impromptu speaking, and we don't have any guests. And almost every single one of us has a role this evening. So I would ask that even if you're a speaker, or if you're an evaluator, or Toastmaster, or whoever you are tonight, I ask that you help Mark out and try to pay attention and answer his wonderful questions that I assume he has. Without further ado, our topics master, Toastmaster Mark Kessler.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Toastmaster of the Day. The topic master gives members who are not assigned a significant speaking role the opportunity to speak during the meeting. I challenge each member with a subject, and they respond with 1 to 2 minute impromptu talks. Please pay attention to the time signals and utilize as much of the 2 minutes as you can. Our timer will demonstrate the time signals now. Mrs. Timer.
Thank you, Topics Master Mark. So for Toastmasters, we want to try and fill up 2 minutes of speaking, but 1 minute is needed to qualify. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the green at 1 minute, the yellow at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and the red at 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, timer. Speech time frame is from 1 to 2 minutes. The topic will be repeated 2 times. In time to get super present and focused now, as I will be calling on you after I've stated the topic. So the topic is about exploration. Exploration of self. So here we go. The first question is, where does your self-worth come from? Where does your self-worth come from? Hyun Green.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. That's the word I haven't thought about for the longest time in my life. I still remember, I must have been in my late 20s. A friend of mine told me out of the blue, we were in a meeting hanging out, and my friend said, Hyun, you look like you don't know who you are. Imagine that. And I was in my late 20s. And I gave that kind of vibe to my friends. And it still didn't register with me that I had to find myself, much less self-worth. I was still trying to find myself at that age. A lot of people think self-worth lies in their accomplishments, the knowledge, the virtues they bring to the community. I agree with all of that. For me, my self-worth is really honestly trying my best every day to reach the potential that I might have. At my age, it's not easy to always try to reach the potential. Sometimes I think I have reached it. This is it, I'm tired, I want to take it easy. But no, I still might have more self-worth out there somewhere that I still didn't realize. So my self-worth, trying every day. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Hyun, sorry, my apologies. The second table topic is going to be for Michelle Gonzalez. What is the best way to achieve lasting happiness? What is the best way to achieve lasting happiness?
Toastmaster topic, table topics of the day. For me, lasting happiness can be achieved if I love myself. Loving myself for me means that I really know who I am, whose I am. And so I can safely say that exploring these emotions that I have, exploring love, exploring genuine happiness would be the way that I would have that lasting happiness. Most times people would prefer to have happiness from someone else. But I believe happiness really comes from exploring my own self. Just as Hayon said, my self-worth and happiness is found in my reaching every day towards a goal. It may be a vision, it may be a simple goal as getting up in the morning and exercising. Those commitments that I make to myself is where I would find everlasting happiness. Toastmaster of the day, table topics master.
Do we have time for one more? There we go. How would you define a good life? How would you define a good life? Toastmaster Jack Miller.
How would I define a good life? Well, by being curious. Curiosity is the mother of invention. And finding a good life would be looking into different types of lives. But most importantly would be to be grateful for everything that happens my way. And I think that was maybe the greatest lesson I ever learned in my life, was to be grateful for everything that comes my way. Because if I'm grateful, no matter how bad it is, I have no reason to be fearful anymore. I can find something to be happy about in the situation I'm presently in. So being curious, exploring different possibilities, being grateful, these are the keys to happiness, rather than reflecting, being sad about, upset that I don't have, looking for the opportunities to be grateful and thankful for everything are the real keys to happiness. So easy to get into, why didn't I do this? Why can't I do that? These self-talks that we're constantly giving ourselves. I mentioned last week, I've been reading Michael Singer's book, and the idea that our mind is this tool that takes control of our life is so true. We need to take control of our mind. And as we learn to control our mind, to realize when we're having chatter that is running us down or running someone else down or useless, that is the real key to happiness, is to try and find and control this thing we call mind. I always like the axiom that says, mind is like a puppy dog. Used well, everybody loves it. Untrained, and it pisses all over your good intentions. Your topics master?
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. Is there time for any more? Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mark Kessler. Great thought-provoking questions, as Hayan commented. Loved your questions tonight. Thank you so much. May I have a brief timers report on both the speakers and the table topics?
Yes, Toastmaster. All speakers and all of our table topics were within time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Shay or Shastri, are you guys able to load the vote for speakers at this time, or shall we wait on that?
Yes, it's ready.
It's ready. All right, let's do the vote for speakers then, please.
Okay, I'm closing the launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much, Shay. We'll now move on to our third section of the meeting, which is evaluations, the gift of instant feedback, a key part of the success of the Toastmasters program. Please welcome Toastmaster Susanna, our general evaluator of the evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. Timer, please demonstrate the timing signal for speech evaluation.
Certainly, general evaluator. So evaluations are going to be between 2 and 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, you'll see the green background, at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, yellow. At 3 minutes, red, and at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I will clap off the evaluator if needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Without further ado, please welcome our first evaluator for this evening, Toastmaster Jack Miller on evaluating Shastri Stewart.
Thank you, Susanna, General Evaluator. Shastri Stewart, I don't know that I've ever had a chance to evaluate you, and you've evaluated me a number of times, so today is my honor. And it's always an honor to hear you speak because you're eloquent, fun, lively, and in this case, trying to give us some good information. And as a mentor, you do a great job, and you've been doing it for a lot of people, and as you said, in your job, you do it. So I'm sure you've taken some of the skills you've learned in Toastmasters into your regular occupation. And I like what you were saying, that you're in there looking for something to help all of the people with. And I can really see you in that role, is really trying to lift everyone that you work with up, which is part of the job as a mentor. You did talk, and you only mentioned it one time, about the word protege, and I might have liked to have heard you talk a little bit about that mentor-protege relationship, just a little bit more, and define what a protege really is. I love the way you opened up with a story and talking about your first person that you kind of looked at as kind of a mentor, and the fact that this person maybe seemed like way out in left field to you when you first met him, but then you really saw value in who the person was as you got to know them. And I think that's really true in all of our lives, that, you know, we tend to judge people first on their appearance because that's what we have to work with. We have that as our tool of evaluating. However, when you get to know someone and really understand them, you realize there's always a lot more to them than we really thought about. It was nice to get to know a little more about you, your history, and I like the way you said you were a basketball player and said, great, let's play soccer. And that's kind of the way mentoring is too. You find out about someone, but don't get hung up on what they think they're good at. Look at what they can be rather than what they think they are. And you really brought that out in a good story fashion. I like the quote you said, your job as a mentor is to see something in them that they do not see in themselves. And that's really a key issue, to bring out the value that people have that they don't know they have. Because I think as human nature, to sell ourselves a little bit short, unless you're talking about a president, he sells himself way too high. In all of our cases, we tend to sell ourselves a little bit short of who we really can and should be. And for that, I thank you. I thought you did a great job. You're always trying to stand in there. And one of the problems with this whole Zoom platform is when you're standing, you're kind of fading in and out of us when you're moving, when you're doing a virtual screen in the background instead of a real screen. So it might be worth having a regular screen rather than the shadow screen when you're standing up and talking like that. When I look at you sitting down now, I see you real clearly, but when you're standing and moving, you kind of get blotted out of the picture a lot. Anyhow, I enjoyed you. Great talk.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. Next, we have another second evaluator for this evening, Toastmaster Stacy Kessler, evaluating speech from Micheline. Please welcome Toastmaster Stacy.
Thank you, fellow general evaluator, our fellow Toastmasters, and Micheline. Micheline, being the Vice President of Membership, Toastmaster Micheline, has taken a role that has put her to many challenges and has brought her to this speech today where she is recognizing things as a leader, from a leader perspective, as opposed to just a plain old Toastmaster. And now that she is has this title of Vice President of Membership, she's taken this job to her heart, as you can see through her speech this evening. She has shared with us what it is to be a distinguished Toastmasters club, what it takes, went over the points, very detailed, about the first impressions, the membership, the club diversity, what the club meetings were to look like, membership strength, what it takes to bring forth new members, and some achievements in recognition. Excellent job at all of your points, as usual, Micheline. Your dedication is shining, for sure. You also brought across what it was like to be a Toastmasters, oh goodness, what was it? The Toastmasters promise, how we promise to be a Toastmaster. How I may have come across in this speech would be a Toastmasters promise. Does everyone remember the promise you made in being a Toastmaster, Wellington Toastmasters? Good evening, and inspire us with what it is that you truly see within all of us that we're not yet seeing within ourselves, as Jack was saying, through inspiration. Although you have your feelings and what you're noticing isn't working in the club, share with us what is working. Inspire us. Bring us to a point to where we want to type to you on the chat and say, Micheline, I want to be the first impression when we come to this club. This is my promise, and I notice that I'm not being and fulfilling my promise. Allow us to become vulnerable with the team members so that we can see what it is that we could do to support this club. Inspiration, motivation is what is going to lead us all to step up and step forward to become the optimal version of ourselves at the Wellington Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters and honored Micheline, thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy. That was great. That's exactly what I was thinking about. I will give more of my feedback in the feedback section. Without further ado, we have our last speech evaluator for tonight. Please welcome Team Morale, evaluating speech from Brendan McColloway. Hope I said it right, Brendan.
Fellow Toastmasters, most especially Brendan. This was a story within a story, from the Storyteller's Manual. Thank you, Stacy, for cluing me in on what the manual's requirement was. I thought, just to get this out of the way right at the beginning, I thought, Brendan, you did a fantastic job of doing a story within a story. Whatever the guidelines were in that manual, you nailed it. No problem with that. So moving on and to some more details. And also I just will point out one of the things in general that you can do when you are when you're an evaluator and you don't really know what you're evaluating, one of the very first things you should do is try to at least meet up with your person you're evaluating and ask them what it is that they're looking for. And I did that through the chats with Brendan. And so I knew, for example, he was concerned about his pacing and he was concerned about so, how many times he was using that word. And so without further ado, on those 2 points, Brendan, I counted 8 so's. I might have missed a few, but I will tell you it was hard to catch them because you were moving along and you didn't really stop when you made the so's. It wasn't like you were taking a pause to think and just threw in a filler word. It was just a kind of a run on, which gets me to another issue in a minute, but it wasn't so obvious that you were using so or any of that. I didn't really feel like you were gumming up your speech with filler words, even though there were a number of them. A few ahs in there as well. Maybe our ah counter picked those up. I didn't see the problem there. The point of this was to be relatable, and anytime you're talking about traffic in South Florida, well, that every person on this screen, I am sure, has a traffic in South Florida story. That was very relatable. You did well picking that for a relatable descriptive story, and how you set it up with what you were trying to do. You were the videographer. You laid all that very well. We've got the story within a story. I thought you did great. So what can I tell you? So there you have the so's. The pacing was the issue, I think. I think you're correct to worry about pacing. Not worry, I don't think anybody needs to be worry words around here. But if you listen to this speech over again, I know we recorded this, I think what you'll find is that you were at a pretty rapid pace and you stayed with that rapid pace throughout the whole speech. For example, at the end, there was a part where you said that you had to catch your breath, you paused. It would have been nice to do it that way, but I caught my breath, paused. That would have been a great way to do it. And I also noticed that along with the pacing being fairly uniform and quick through the whole thing, your vocal variety in terms of pitch, in terms of your modulation of pitch, stayed the same. I don't want to say it was monotone, but I think if you moved around with the pacing, you would be fine. One last point, look into the camera. Don't look down at the speech, look into the camera. Overall, you finished your stopping. You did what you had to do.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tim. Are we doing evaluation for best evaluator now, Shay?
Yes, the poll is ready.
Thank you.
I also have table topics.
Cool.
One point of order before we do best evaluator, I wanted to let you all know that the evaluators were within time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Are we all done with evaluation? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody good? Thumbs up. Thank you. So time to call for a grammarian's report. Can you please remind me who's a grammarian again?
Yes, that's me. For tonight, the word of the day was used, I believe, 2 times, I heard. Curiosity. I caught many examples of eloquence, so I have a couple. It's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. It was incredible. You guys should have been there. The greatest travesty in life is wasted talent. I can find something good in every situation. This equals out happiness. The mind is like a puppy dog. Use it well, everyone loves it. Untrained, they piss all over your intentions. Thank you. As far as any corrections, I'm sorry I didn't catch any. I think I heard some, but it was hard to pin them down for examples. Thank you, Madam Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. May I please have our counter's report?
General Evaluator, it was my pleasure to be the R counter. The total number of fillers used by the club today is 26. The most fillers used by a member, 15. The most commonly used filler word today, so, that was used 15 times. The following Toastmaster did not use any filler word during the meeting Toastmaster of the Day. That concludes my counter report, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michaud. So time for evaluation. Let's get ready. Did the meeting start on time? Yes, we did. I think we might, as for the ending, we might go a couple of minutes over, but that's okay. We really had a good meeting tonight. I would like to, it's my pleasure to give you feedback on that. We didn't have any guests, so we didn't have to welcome. We saved some time there. Toastmaster Justin, you did a fantastic job. Clapping for Toastmaster Justin for doing a good job tonight. The meeting rules were explained very well. There was a formal speeches transition was also explained very well. However, there was some distraction when Toastmaster Sastry was giving his speech. Something I think came on the computer, and it was a little distracting. I'm not sure if he was going to talk about that screen or something was happening, so that was a little distracting. All the speeches were good. Let's move on to table topic. I loved all the questions that you asked, Mark. It was very thought-provoking, right? Self-worth, lasting happiness, good life, right? And all the table topic members also contributed very well. That was such an uplifting question. It was overall very good. As for speech evaluation, again, I was very pleased to hear the evaluation from each of you. It was variety of flavor from Jack, from Stacy, and from Tim Morrell. It's like variation where we all can learn. Let's talk about Jack first. His feedback was based on the content. Usually we talk about the speech, the body language, all of the mechanics of what a good speech will entail, but he went into context of growth of Sastry. I really enjoyed that. You don't often hear about the context of a speaker rather. And then it was very uplifting when you said to see in them what you don't, as a mentor, you see in them what they don't see. And the way you presented was very uplifting, Jack. Now let's move on to Stacy. Stacy, thank you so much for giving backdrop of Micheline's role. I kind of forgot what it was, so thank you for starting off by giving background of what her role is. And you were, as I was mentioning earlier, you were thinking exactly the same that I was feeling. It was great, Micheline, to call. You have every right to call us out on what is missing. I think as Stacy was pointing out, make it positive, how we can inspire. Yes, it's missing, but ask us why, what can I do or what can we do so that we will come here every Monday night? What's in there, what's in it for them, right? For us. So I think if we make that point, we can get more out of rather than saying this is wrong, that is wrong. But overall, you had a really good message. Thank you. And moving on to Tim Morrell. I'm scared to be evaluated by you, Tim. It was really good. It was very direct, but at the same time, it was really good. You did a fantastic job of giving evaluation on Brendan. I was just pinging Brendan saying, wow, it was such a good speech. I was in your story as you were saying it, but now that you gave some of the feedback that I didn't even think about of like, so you were counting how many times he did this. So I think that was fantastic. So I don't have anything to tell you about where you need to improve. It was a little direct, but I think anybody can learn a lot from that feedback, right? Feedback is a gift. I think that would conclude my evaluation for tonight. Back to you, Toastmaster Justin.
Thank you, Toastmasters Susanna, for the very thorough evaluation and of our entire meeting today. Now we'll move on to announcing our winners, which hopefully are ready. I pass it over to Toastmaster Shay.
Yes, we are ready. Can I have a drum roll for the best formal speaker tonight, or first place formal speaker? And it goes to Brendan McCauley. As for our first place table topics, goes to Jack Miller tonight. And last but not least, our evaluations. It goes to Stacy Kessler. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Shay. It's been my honor to serve as your Toastmaster of the day for this evening, and I look forward to doing it as well next week. I hope that we can all go on earlier this week to sign up for roles. If you're going to be around for our meeting next week, please do go on there throughout the week. I will send some reminders as I did this past week, but it'd be very helpful if you guys know if you will be there and if you can perform a role next week. Thank you, and I now pass it on to our great president, Toastmaster Shastri Stewart.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. And if you all could just put your hands together for Justin for doing such an awesome job tonight as being our Toastmaster of the day. Great job. Awesome job. And I believe you do have 2 speakers, but there are other roles that need to be filled. So if we could have people go on the website and sign up, including myself, I'll do so. All right, I only have one announcement. It's 8:04, so we want to end on time. Next week, Saturday at 10 a.m., we have our lovely Stacy Kessler and Shay participating in our area contest. So please show your support. Please stop by to see how they perform.
Do we
Anyone
have
else have any
the
announcements?
sign-in? Do we have the information to share?
I do not have the information to share, but I'll make a note to send that out. Yeah.
And I forgot to send Ray a happy birthday. Just saw it on the, so if we can send Ray happy birthday. Today is his birthday.
Okay, perfect. I'll send him a text right now. Thank you. All right, we'll have our executive meeting. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone. Excellent job.
Hey, Brendan,
Great job.
before you go, I didn't know how to send you back the evaluation, so I sent it to Stacy. Stacy, if you have his email, can you please forward it to him?
Sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Good
Thank you,
night, guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Yes.
Great job tonight, guys.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Oh, my neck, man.
I missed Ray's birthday and I thought about it all morning and I forgot.
All right. How is everyone doing today?
Doing good, Shastri. Give me 1 second to get my minutes opened.
Sure, of course.
You know, I might be wrong, but I think that's the first time Ray's missed a meeting since he joined.
Yes, he missed a few, but he's not ever, he's always here. He deserves a day off. Better late than never. It's 8 o'clock. So our winners were Brandon, Jack, and Stacy.
I'm ready.
Ready? Okay. All right. First thing first. I believe I had on my to-do list was to contact Henry in regards to his role, which I did, and he said that he was going to reach out to Sujana and Gary, and he spoke to both of them. Gary indicated that he would help, but he's not willing to take on the role. And Sujana said that she would think about it. But also Shay was thinking of reaching out to Javier. So I'll let Shay speak to that.
So I haven't gotten to connect them just yet. Javier didn't respond until today, just saying that he's been really caught up in work commitments. So that's why we didn't speak via phone. But I'm just planning to send them an email and connect them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for doing that, Shay. All right. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is Halloween. Well, the week of the Halloween, I wanted to really do a theme meeting. I wanted to see what your thoughts were in regards to that.
That's probably a good idea because we're not doing it. The cool thing about Halloween is it forces creativity. And, you know, it might be fun to just dress up for the Zoom Halloween.
Yeah, I think that would be very cool. Absolutely. Sonia, what do you think?
And maybe we do a little prize, like a Toastmasters t-shirt or something like that.
Seeing as how
Yeah,
I have
maybe
a
we could do that.
Yes, I said, seeing as how I have a costume and I won't have to go out and buy one, I'm for it. For those who
create one.
Sorry?
Or just create one. You don't have to buy it. That's easy. That's the way
Yeah.
I used to do it.
True.
Yeah, just put a hat on or something, or, you know, something creative, I guess, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I will not
Just
be
do
at the
headshot
meeting.
and say you're playing Lady Godiva.
Was that?
I am moving that week, so I will not be at the meeting.
Okay, perfect. Do you need help moving?
Oh, you should have asked me that a week ago.
Yeah.
You are staying within our club zone though, right?
Yes, I'm just moving to Royal Palm from Wellington.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be missing 2
Well, happy
weeks.
moving.
Thank you.
Happy moving then.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Shay?
Yeah, so one thing that was on the table, you mentioned actually, Shastri, about an open house and thinking about like experimenting with another platform to create the open house kind of environment.
Right.
I was thinking like structurally, we could do it on the Zoom platform with the breakout rooms and like have a formal, you know how kind of when we have training like TLI, everyone meets in the main area and then you kind of break out into different rooms based off of your commitment or your interests. I was thinking that, like each breakout room could be like a since it is an open house, it could be themed like treasury, membership, education. This is like what we do. And then the last breakout room is just like a mix and mingle. So like you could have it set for like a certain amount of time. And I don't know, maybe it's like a 5 to 7 minute something that like an officer presents in that room. And maybe we have 2 rotations of it and then everyone ends kind of, and this is just ideas that I'm throwing out there.
By the way, I'm sorry to jump in. We are still recording.
Oh, I'm
sorry. Want to cancel that?
Thank you. I'm
sure.
not used to stopping.